What's up, guys? We are back with another Roast Masters Fantasy Football Zoom podcast here. Back with Doug Glatke, Garrett Harrison. Garrett, you back on Madden again?
Yep.
Yeah, he is. Who you playing as today?
I'm gonna start a franchise with the Steelers.
All right, interesting.
Okay.
Well, we're going to start off talking about the biggest news probably free agency so far and of probably history. Tom Brady, the GOAT, heading to the Buccaneers. He signs a 2-year deal. Last year, over 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. You could arguably say he had one of his worst receiving core in his history without Gronk. And now he's adding on Chris Godwin, who went off last year. He's adding Mike Evans, O.J. Howard at tight end. What did you think when you heard this news, Doug, that Tom Brady was no longer a Patriot?
I didn't think it was ever going to happen. Honestly, with all the talk, everybody was like, oh, he's going to sign elsewhere. And I'm just like, I don't see it. But, I texted I have a friend. I have personal ties to the Buccaneers. One of my best friends from Cal works for them. And I shot him a text probably 10 days before it went down. I said to him, I think this is going to happen, but I'll believe it when I see it. And it happened. And I think they were the best position for him to succeed out of all the teams who had interest in him.
Interesting. What do you think, Garrett? No longer a Patriot no more. He's a Buccaneer.
I know, it's finally into another freaking division. And it's so great to be a Steelers fan right now. But
yeah,
honestly, he went down there and he has a lot of wide receiver weapons to throw to.
Yeah.
This guy has definitely, from the offense he had last year to now, he might have upgraded with weapons. Now the offensive line needs a lot of rework to protect him. I think the past couple of years, that defense in New England has carried Tom Brady. To be honest, I think he was on the slow decline and he wasn't doing as good as everyone thought the GOAT should be doing. He's not going out there and throwing 5,000 yards and 40-some touchdowns every season. Last year showed that he needs weapons to succeed at his age.
Yeah. Could we see Godwin and Evans become like the top 5, both in the top 5 in fantasy this year from what they did last year, just by adding Tom Brady?
I think we could potentially. I already think that Chris Godwin's going to be in the top 5 regardless. Okay. Whenever we get preseason rankings and all that going later into the summer. But I think that Godwin's going to be probably the top target of fantasy owners out of him and Evans. I think that Godwin will probably be the one that succeeds the best because he's the downfield threat. And, I don't know. I just feel like Brady's going to utilize him more.
I could argue against that. I was actually thinking Evans is going to come as their top guy again because Brady likes these big wide receivers. You got Evans, that's huge. He had Gronk. He had Plexico Burris back in the day. Brady likes these safety valves, and he really didn't have it last year in a tight end. So you seen Edelman had a very good year. I think Godwin will still do well. But I think Evans is gonna be a better fantasy value. And when I say value, I think people are going to jump on the Godwin bandwagon pretty early. But don't get me wrong, I think either one is a win for you if you can get either of those guys. But I think Godwin's still a top 5. I could see that. But I think we could see Evans in there. Definitely both top 10. But Garrett, who would you draft out of the two?
That's a tough decision, man, because both these guys can be a wide receiver 1 on anyone's fantasy team.
Yeah.
So if you don't get Evans, you get Godwin. It's a win-win situation in a draft situation. But honestly, yeah, I would say Evans would be the guy he's going to throw to more at first. But watch out because Godwin could be that guy that comes out of nowhere again this year. And I'm hoping last year wasn't a fluke and Godwin just blows up again. So we'll see.
Yeah. 9 touchdowns last year from from Winston. Just breaking news today, Godwin is giving up his number 12 to Brady. He's TB12 down there in Tampa Bay. Godwin's going with number 14. So they're already starting that connection already. And I heard that the first thing that Brady wanted was when he landed in Tampa Bay is his phone numbers of his teammates. So he's getting ready. Is this a bounce back year for Brady? We'll start with Doug because kind of last year we were talking about Brady's decline. Now he's on a new team. Is he still on the decline because of his age, or is he going to have like a bounce back year?
I think he's going to have a lot of motivation. I think he's going to be really fired up to get started here, and I think a lot of the weapons that he has can make him younger. And we didn't even touch on the defense. Like Tampa Bay has some weapons on defense, and I think that can help keep Tom afloat, similar to what we saw with the Patriots the last few years. But he has everything that he's ever needed to succeed. He has two great wide receivers. He has two very solid tight ends with OJ Howard and Cameron Brate. The only thing they need to figure out is running back.
Yeah.
And when they figure that out, probably through the draft, I think this team's going to be really special.
Yeah, and I'm hearing out of Tampa Bay that they're targeting J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State. Garrett, what do you think if they could bring on a guy like J.K. Dobbins? Is that the running back they're looking for? But you even look at a guy like Freeman that's still out there available. What do you think? You think they need to target a running back early, like a Dobbins? You think he makes his team elite?
They could target running back, but I kind of feel like you adding Tom Brady now will make defenses down with the weapons they have go, okay, let's play more coverage now instead of rush more guys in the box, which will open up more room for Jones to just find a hole. I think they're going to do a lot of play action, which is going to open up a lot of things in that offense. So maybe not too concerned on signing running back right now, see how it starts off, maybe draft somebody, but I think they'll be fine. Honestly, I can see them almost. I don't want to say they're going to win the division, but I do want to say that they will probably be a playoff contender this year.
Now, and also we could tie that in breaking news today as well that they signed having an extra 2 teams to a 14-team playoff. Not going to have 2 byes. You're going to have the number 1 team with the bye. So whoever's the second seed is going to be pretty irritated, but it also gives another team into the playoffs to mix it up. Do you think the Bucs last year 7-9? Doug, do they improve to just barely make the playoffs, or can they make a big push in this new playoff?
I think that they can undoubtedly make the playoffs. I think they're going to win at least 10 games. I think that 10 games is within reach for them. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they go above that number because, if Brady's able to get hot early and get that team going, man, it's going to be one of those scenarios where it's just a runaway train and you can't stop it.
Yeah, what are you thinking, Garrett? I like Doug's 10 win last year, 7-9. They were. I like the 10 win, and I could even say maybe a game over that, or if you're doing an over and under, 10's a good number.
Yeah, that 9, 10, 11 range, man. That's where I see them at. They're either gonna be the 6th seed, 5th seed, or maybe the 4th seed. I don't know if they'll be the very last seed in that new wild card, but I don't know. I actually have high expectations. My cousin's a big Bucs fan. He says the only thing that he wishes they would go after is some better offensive linemen and another running back. But right now he thinks they'll be pretty solid. I'm just hoping that with Tom Brady switching teams, can he transition out of a whole new system? That's what I'm scared about. Like, was it Belichick or was it Brady? That's the big argument I want, you don't know about.
And we're going to see it this year. We'll have Doug touch on it in a minute, but that's where I was going to go. Brady's leaving. This year's going to be figuring out if it's Brady or Belichick. you can make the argument that, Brady's a lot older now, so if he has a rougher year, that, maybe it's not all his fault. But are we going to see, Tom Brady like define himself as the greatest of all time this year? Like, if he does this without Belichick this year, I don't think anybody can argue that there's a player greater than Tom Brady.
I mean, I think that that's what he's setting out to do. I think he wants that new challenge just to prove to everybody, like, hey, I'm not just a product of how great of a coach Bill Belichick is, but at the same time, Bruce Arians is a damn good coach, and he's been around forever. And it's debatable that some of Ben Roethlisberger's best years came with Bruce Arians managing the Steelers offense. So you could see Brady really improve. And I think the past few years in New England, it's been Brady, because remember just a few short years ago, we had that giant kerfuffle within the Patriots organization where Bill wanted to trade Brady to play Garoppolo or Brissett. And then Bob Kraft ended up saying to Bill, like, it's either Tom or you. And they traded both of those quarterbacks away.
Yeah. Go ahead, Garrett.
I wasn't going to say anything.
No, he's good. Well, let's touch on the Belichick side of it. It looks like right now they're going to stick with their 4th-round pick in last year's draft, Jarrett Stidham from Auburn, at their starting quarterback. Now, it's obviously early. There's still Jameis Winston. There's still Cam Newton, and there's still the draft available. Who could we see starting a quarterback? Is Stidham going to be the next guy in New England?
I don't know, man. This is such a hard thing to forecast. I mean, I could see a scenario where they sign Jameis or Cam and play him and have them like be around Stidham to mentor him. But I could also see a scenario where everything just gets blown out of the water and they draft like late 1st round, early 2nd round, someone like Jake Fromm, and see what he can do.
That'd be an interesting pick.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's still early to predict this stuff, but there's still 2 first round picks, quarterbacks that are free agents, and it's interesting to see. I know there's talking about Cam. They want to wait for the doctors to clear him to see how he's doing. Obviously, he's motivated, so I think he will do well this year if signed on a team. Winston, the first 30-30 guy, not the ESPN documentary, but touchdown interception. And who knows? So I guess we can move on and touch on that a little bit with Cam and Winston. Who would be the better fit in New England if you had a choice, Belichick, to pick one of those guys?
I'm just gonna say it, like thinking like Bill Belichick. I think I would go with Cam Newton. I think he has the pedigree to be a very good Patriots quarterback and play well within Belichick's system, because even though he's a dual threat quarterback and he's a mobile guy, he still has like the build of a pocket passer. So he can be that hybrid and really give the Patriots the potential to do some really interesting things with that offense.
Yeah, I agree. How about you, Garrett?
I like it, but I'm going to go with Winston.
Okay.
I think Belichick could really turn Winston into the quarterback that he needs to be, instead of forcing balls, just being patient. And, he's going to have a good offensive line up there in New England if Jameis goes. So it's going to be a little different situation than last year. Yes, you're going to have a little bit as not top wide receivers, but you're still going to have Edelman, and you're going to have the Slayton. Slayton's still there, right?
I'm not sure if he is or not.
Okay. Well, you still have Edelman. Overall, I think I just feel like Winston is that fit almost for them. Gives them a second chance. I'm kind of falling off of the Cam train. I don't know. I'm hoping he bounced back this year, but I just don't see him going to New England. But could be proved wrong. I have no idea.
I mean, you could argue that either of these guys could improve just being on the Patriots from coming from Tampa Bay, which Winston had a great receiving core. But you take a look at Cam, I mean, he really hasn't had anybody good the last few years that he's been playing. You had Benjamin there for a while that, he's a no name now. But in Funches, I guess, he wasn't too bad. But I think Cam would be better fit for what Doug said, in my opinion, for that offense. I think they both improve. I think they both do well there. But it's interesting to see. Is Belichick going to try with Stidham here and say, hey, look, Tom Brady came how late? Look what we did with him. Stidham could be the next, nobody's going to replace Tom Brady, but they might just work with what they got too. It's still early to tell, but it's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots do. And, it kind of opens up that division a little bit more to a team like Buffalo. Buffalo could be threatening. Actually, they're my favorites to win that division now as of now without, a solid quarterback starter in New England.
I just want to touch on.
Go ahead,
Garrett,
Doug.
go. No, go, Garrett.
Okay. I don't even know what I was going to say now.
Man, I feel bad now because what I'm about to say is like somewhat stupid. The truth is, this is the way I see it. The Patriots can succeed with anybody. If they were able to go 8-8 with Matt Castle, they'll be able to go 8-8 with anybody under center.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was going to say is I think if you have any mediocre quarterback in there, their defense is that good that you're still going to win games. You're going to be pretty much like the Pittsburgh Steelers were last year. We had mediocre, below average quarterbacks, and we still won games because our defense kept into it. That's what I'm seeing this year. They're going to be right on that brink. Are we going to make the playoffs? Are we not? Because our defense is that good. But is the quarterback we have back there able to get the ball and move the ball down the field? Now, that's the question you have to ask yourself if they're going with not a quarterback who's been a veteran, but a quarterback that's new and young and mediocre.
Yeah, I could see that, but it's going to be interesting. I don't think the Buccaneers and the Patriots play this year. I don't think. I'm not sure, but that's going to be an interesting matchup, obviously, if Tom sticks around. So we'll see what happens. It's still early. We still got the draft. That can change up a lot of things here for the Patriots, but Tom Brady, a Buccaneer, who would ever thought? But I'll tell you what, he looks good with that 12 in those jerseys. I'm a big fan of those Bucs jerseys. I like the way – I never – I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but I respect the guy. But those jerseys are nice.
Yeah.
Doug, is that on your bucket list to get a Tampa Bay Bucs jersey?
I think I might just might have to, but just so you guys know, they're getting a jersey redesign.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah, they're going back to the old early 2000s Buccaneers design. So those are gonna look pretty sick.
Is that going to be just a game or two type deal, kind of like the Steelers throwbacks, or is
no?
It's
a full-time thing. They're getting rid of those other jerseys that are also very nice. So, yeah.
Clearance rack, Doug. Clearance rack.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those things. I'll be looking through dicksportinggoods.com 2 or 3 years from now and be like, hey, do you want a Chris Godwin jersey for $40? Yes, I do.
Yeah, I agree. So there's Tom Brady. Let's just touch on one other team, and it's going to be kind of going along with Tom Brady. It's the Saints, and he's going to have to play Drew Brees twice this year. He's got Drew Brees signed a 2-year, $50 million deal. Last year, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, which was tied for the least with Aaron Rodgers. And they also signed Emmanuel Sanders, 2-year, $60 million deal. He had 5 touchdowns last year with San Francisco. You got Drew Brees, you got Alvin Kamara, you got Michael Thomas, you got Emmanuel Sanders, and still Jared Cook down there. So this team's looking really good. I mean, obviously, I think they're going to beat out the Buccaneers for the division, but what are you thinking about the Saints team? They've been on the edge as one of the Super Bowl contenders for the last few years, but they just haven't been able to get the job done. Is this the year for the Saints from adding on Emmanuel Sanders, which I think is going to be key help for Breeze? But what do you think? And this is going to be interesting this year for the Saints.
Yeah, it's gonna be something to behold. I'm really excited about that team. I would love to see Drew Brees win a Super Bowl before he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And the Saints, do they still have Latavius Murray?
Yeah, I
Do you
believe he's
know?
still I believe he's still their backup.
Yeah. So like that's another big part of their offense is that they still have Kamara, but like his understudy is still just as good and could be a starter on probably almost any other team. So that's going to be big for them. And that Brady Breeze matchup twice a year, man, that's going to be one hell of a thing.
Garrett, what are you thinking? Is this Saints taking the division easily, or is this Brady going to give the Saints a run for their money in the division?
It might be just like a tiny little bump in the road for Breeze, but Breeze is hungry, and this dude is gonna want revenge. He wants that Super Bowl ring so bad. He'll probably play until he's like 47. He's gonna be the next Brett Favre of the league, transferring or trying to keep signing. This dude wants that ring, and last year I thought that team was gonna do great things, and then I don't know. It's they just keep losing to the Vikings in the playoffs, man. I don't know. I think the Saints will easily win that division, but it'll be a little bump in the road with Brady at the Bucs right now.
I'm excited for the Saints team. I'm always excited for the Saints. And I want to see Drew Brees win it too. And I think this gives them with this extra playoff team. I think it gives them, a shot. And it depends where they're at. How well they can do this regular season if they can stay healthy. Obviously, what Doug said, they still have Latavius Murray, and you know what? I had him in fantasy last year, and he was a solid flex option in most weeks because Kamara wasn't performing there at the end of the year, and our winner last year, our loser last year, who wasn't with us, Brad, he was big on Kamara all year. No matter pretty much where he was picking, it was Kamara, Kamara, Kamara. He said he had to pick third so he could get Kamara. I was picking second. He said, you take Kamara. We're done. I said, I don't want Kamara. Obviously, I take McCaffrey, which was the best choice out of the year. But I'll tell you what, this team poised kind of like how the Browns are this year with how talented they are, that if they don't succeed in the playoffs, that it's kind of going to be a bust. Does this ruin Drew Brees' legacy this year?
I don't think it will. I think it's one of those things where that team has been so consistently good for so long that you have to almost respect how good they are, even though they only got one Super Bowl out of Brees potentially. But I think that this year's going to be different. Adding Emmanuel Sanders adds such a different element to their offense because he's such a good possession receiver. And that's going to just allow, teams are going to be doubling Michael Thomas, and that's just going to allow Sanders to eat whenever there's extra space opened up for him.
I kind of see this as in Pittsburgh when we had Antonio Brown and Juju's first year.
Yes.
Where they're going to be teaming, Thomas, and then you're going to leave a guy like Sanders that still can perform. I could almost see this as a little bit as a Godwin Evans type ordeal in Tampa Bay with how they're going to kind of be sharing the receptions. I think it pulls away a little bit from Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is still an incredible talent, but you could argue that Sanders is going to pull into that reception margin a little bit more than a guy like they had Traquan Smith last year. You know what I mean? Like Sanders is definitely a more reliable guy. Obviously, you still draft Michael Thomas as your top wide receiver, but I think Sanders is kind of going to be like that Pittsburgh deal when Juju came in the league, where you have them doubling Brown, and now you got Juju. Obviously, Juju's a lot younger, but Emmanuel Sanders is still a talented wide receiver. What do you think, Garrett?
I think it's hard to compare if they would have a bad season to the Browns last year, because the Browns last year was a circus show.
Yeah.
You have all that talent, you should make the playoffs, and yet you can't even go 500. That's sad.
Yeah.
So this team, New Orleans, is not going to do that. They will be above 500 easily,
Yeah.
and if not, win the division.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can see them making what would be a great game as if the seeds line up just right, and you have the Bucks versus the Saints in the NFC Championship game. That would be amazing, watching two prime, solid, greatest of all time quarterbacks go at it in an NFC Championship game at their age and battle it to see who goes to the Super Bowl. Now, if Tom Brady can win a Super Bowl in the NFC with another team, he's by far the best quarterback to ever play in the game.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'll predict it right now. I know Doug likes to throw out predictions. I'll do it right now. I feel like the Saints are going to be the number 2. With the addition of the 7th seed, that's where the Bucks will fall. And you're going to have Tom Brady upset at the 7th seed with adding this seed over the Saints. Mark it down on paper.
That's risky business.
Wow, that'd be something. But I'd love to see that in the playoffs. I'd love to see Tom Brady versus Drew Brees in the playoffs. You can't really get any better than that at the quarterback position. Yeah. So let's finish this off. We kind of touched on Cam Newton and the Panthers, so let's finish it there. I mean, there won't be really much to talk about besides Teddy Bridgewater, man. Where's John Gruden when he need? I'll tell you what, man. Teddy Bridgewater, 3 years, 63 million. Come on, man. Then they signed P.J. Walker from the XFL. But in all honesty, they signed Teddy Bridgewater, 3 years, $63 million deal. And they also signed P.J. Walker from the XFL. He had played 5 games this year, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, over 1,000 yards. And they also had Robbie Anderson to the wide receiver position from the Jets on a 2-year, $20 million deal. Last year, right under 800 yards, 5 touchdowns. In my opinion, that's way overpriced for a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. Way overpriced. We'll start with Doug. What do you think of this Panthers team now that they're adding Teddy Bridgewater?
Before I get into this, I just want to say I'm shocked that the Saints let Bridgewater go.
Yeah.
I thought that he was going to be the guy that ended up replacing Breeze.
And
they were just going to keep throwing him like 1-year high money deals until Breeze finally retired, and then they were going to lock Teddy up. That was the way I thought it was going to go down. But it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, because it seems like one of those things that's destined to blow up in their face, right? Because they basically forced it where Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the undisputed starter in Carolina. I mean, they tried trading Cam Newton, ended up releasing Cam Newton, and they traded Kyle Allen away to the Redskins. So I think that I think this might be a destined to fail type of situation, because you paid the guy off of simply just one really good year. He still has the risky injury history, and I don't think there's enough weapons in Carolina to sustain him other than McCaffrey.
Yeah, it's going to be a McCaffrey show again this year, in my opinion. What do you think, Gary?
And that's tough. I don't think he's worth the contract he's got. Yes, he did prove last year the games that he played when Breeze was out that he's a starter on any team. But the way he plays is clock management, man. He doesn't take chances. He does what he has to do to at least get the win. He's not going above and beyond, and he's not under exceeding either. But I just feel like now you're going to see we saw it last year, a heavy workload with Christian McCaffrey again this year. And I'm just afraid that he's going to take a hit and get injured again. I just don't think he's going to, I don't know, man. I just don't have words for it. I just don't think he's going to do that great.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, obviously this is still the worst team in that division. McCaffrey can't do it all, and way overpriced for a guy like Bridgewater. I feel like they should have waited to see what they could have got out of a guy like Jameis Winston to put on that team. Stay in the division. I think Winston's a better overall quarterback. But this is the year for Bridgewater to prove, what he can do. And, don't be surprised if a guy like PJ Walker, plays a lot due to Bridgewater's known injuries, and how injury prone he can be in the style that he plays. So really interesting there with the Panthers.
I wish they would get more weapons, dude. I wish they would get more weapons. You signed Bridgewater for that much. Why not go out and spend money to get him the receivers he needs to succeed?
Well, we could see draft. We could see them draft some guys.
It's almost like you signed him for all this money to set him up to fail. I don't understand what's going on in that front office, but you drop all that money on a quarterback and you got rid of Cam Newton and the guy started for you all year last year. What, you can't get somebody for him to throw to? McCaffrey's not the whole team. That dude's eventually going to die. He's going to die.
But, Bridgewater wins no matter what because he's getting paid. And it's not like he has to perform there. What does he have to live up after Kyle Allen last year? You know what I mean? Like, he's their starter. He's getting paid all this money. If he has an average year, it's a win for the Panthers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but Garrett
to say something.
Yeah, Garrett made a really, really good point with the whole they don't have weapons thing because I feel like they haven't had a top-end wide receiver since Steve Smith left.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And like, God, that's been how many freaking years, man? It feels like it's been 10. It feels like it's been 10 years. Yeah. I know it hasn't been, but it feels like it's been forever. They had Devin Funchess the year that they made the Super Bowl run. But like he's okay. Like he's a guy.
Right.
It was the Panthers equivalent to Chris Hogan being unreal that one playoff year for the Patriots.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We still got the draft.
Right.
Still got about 4 minutes left. Let's finish it off real quick. Where do you see Cam Newton signing if you had to place a bet on it?
I have absolutely no idea. Especially with now that they're saying that the teams are going to wait with the injury history.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might be a guy that just signs somewhere right before camp.
Okay. Well, just name a team. Who do you think just if you had to place a bet, where do you think he'd go?
San Diego if they don't draft a quarterback.
There's the San Diego thing again. LA now.
Los Angeles if they don't draft a quarterback.
He's not used to it yet. The Chargers are the favorite right now. Garrett, how about you? Where's Cam going?
Yeah, it's either going to be the Chargers or the Patriots. I can't think of any other team that would want to take a chance right now or really needs a quarterback besides those two teams that I can think of. But yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's really tough.
Chargers, I'm hearing, are number one, but a team that I kind of dropped a bomb on a few weeks ago that I thought he could sign to is now the number 2 favorite, and that's Jacksonville. Down there, obviously, they only have Gardner Minshew. It was Minshew mania, but now they're pulling up to be the second favorite. Washington was a favorite for a while. They signed Kyle Allen. Still could go there. He's got a relationship with Ron Rivera, the new coach of the Redskins. And also another place is Miami, but obviously you got Rosen and Fitzpatrick. I just don't see him fitting down in the mix. So I'm going to say Jacksonville, but obviously the Chargers are the favorite right now. We'll see what happens. But, hey, how about this? Tom Brady to the Bucs. Well, I just can't wait to see him, play. It's just going to be so weird seeing him play for another team.
It's going to be weird, that we're actually going to be able to like him. And that we don't really have to be scared of him anymore. Tom Brady cannot realistically hurt us anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of people happy about him not being on the Patriots more than him joining the Bucs. There's more fans saying, thank God he's not on the Patriots, than there is fans welcoming him to the Buccaneers organization.
I'll tell you what, though, guys, with him being out of the picture in the AFC, this year has to be the year. It
Yeah.
has to be the year the Steelers go on a run.
We'll see what happens. You get Ben healthy back. We'll talk about him next week, and with the signing of Eric Ebron, and what that looks like for the Steelers. Obviously, it's our team. But other than that, I want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, you want to see more, like it. Please subscribe to the channel, share it. It helps out a lot to help us get started. If you ever have any questions, fantasy football question, NFL related, drop it in the comment section below, and we will give you a shout out and we'll talk about it on our podcast. But another week of the free agency. Obviously, there's still a lot more to talk about. And from when we make this video, Cam could be signed with a new team. Winston could be. So we'll try to get that free agency bomb dropped and bring it in a video and just discuss it all. And in terms of fantasy football too. So thank you guys for watching. Good seeing you guys again. Garrett, hopefully that franchise works out for you.
Yeah.
Who won that game last week? The Bills or who were you? Bills and the Seahawks, right?
Yeah, I think I played as the Bills. I won.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, maybe next week we'll see Doug Glatke in a Chris Godwin Tampa Bay jersey.
We'll see, guys. We need things to get better in the world before I can start buying jerseys from overseas again.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for watching. Have a good one.